So I want to actually talk through today some of the things that have given me the massive breakthrough that I've had over the last couple of years. The things that have totally transformed my life. And I mean, totally. I mean, in fact, I would say that if I had known some of these things back in like 2018, I don't think I would have walked through the extensive emotional trauma that I had walked through. I had to walk through those circumstances, yes. But I can actually effectively say, without understanding at the time, I chose to have trauma in my life because I govern my own thoughts. I govern my emotional stability. And the one thing I know most of all right now in this time in the season, emotionally resilient leaders are a must. And you guys are called to be leaders in any environment you're in, whether it's mom, whether it's wife, whether it's business, whether it's ministry. We're called to be leaders. So listen, we have to train our brains how to think. Be totally transformed by the renewing of your mind. And as I've walked out more and more of that process over the last 10 years, I'm seeing just how much we can truly be totally transformed by the renewing of our mind. Your mind is your loyal friend. It will do exactly as you tell it to do. This is just scratching the surface of what this unshakable life is that we're talking about. This notion of an unshakable life where I'm unshakable inside myself despite my circumstances, it may seem like the unicorn in the sky that you can never really catch, but it's true. It's possible. And I could say I'm walking in it as a result. Last couple of weeks, there's been some, you really never know where you're at until you're put in the pressure of a situation to see, right? And I felt like I was put in the pressure of a situation to see where I was at. And I was happy to see. I was actually, I went through something. Truthfully, it was a PTSD trigger. And I went through that thing and I had to decide how I was going to show up. I had to decide and tell my body what to do. I actually had to put in play these things that I've learned over the last 10 years. And I'm happy to say I'm rocking and rolling at this thing, but there's places to grow. And I got one this week that got me really excited. So I'm excited to grow. I don't know about you guys. Excited to grow? I'm excited to grow. Listen, when somebody does something that feels like it hurts me, I've learned, okay, first, triggers are always an opportunity to heal. So I've learned, I'm sitting there having a PTSD trigger and I'm like, yes, I have an opportunity to heal. This is fantastic. I'm going to let this crap flow through me. And I actually, if it's not revealed, I can't do anything about it. Second, I have to take a step back, honor my emotions as the indicators they are. And then I need to ask, what's really going on? Now, if you can change just one belief, you might be one belief away from your breakthrough right now. And I want to propose a couple of new beliefs to you that may really actually just blow your mind away of the results that you'll get if you choose today to take on these beliefs. First thing I want to talk about is each person has their own map that they're navigating life by. So it's what was modeled to them. It's the meaning they place of their experience of the world, just like you. What did you learn from your parents and your brothers and your sisters growing up? What were you taught in school? What did your environment train you to behave like, act like? Our culture is completely different than another culture on the other side of the world. We believe things totally different than they do. And that's because they have a map that they're operating by. And so when we look at our map, we see one thing, we create values, we navigate life in a certain way. They do created by their map. And number two, we all have 6 basic needs. And this is just review for us, but it's really important for what I'm getting into. So there's certainty. I want to go away from pain and towards pleasure, don't we? Like we really do. But it's so interesting. And you'll see as we talk today, some of us put ourselves into pain by the way we decide to handle things. We're choosing pain. But there's uncertainty too. You want variety. I can't, sometimes if I'm walking the same trail every Saturday, I'm like, dude, I'm bored. I need to change it up. Or if I'm wearing the same clothes every day, it's like the Bee movie. Anybody seen that? Where it's like black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. We need variety in our life. We got to mix it up. So yeah, we want certainty and stability, but we also need to change it up, right? And we need to know we're significant. We need to know that we matter, that our life on the earth has meaning, right? And we always need love and connection. Most people stop at connection and never truly get love. And I really want to go deeper than that in my life. I don't know about you. And then there's the two that actually produce fulfillment in your life. One is growth. If you're not growing, you're dying. And two, contribution, that we're actually doing something, that we're actually making a difference, that our life, that we're contributing to others, we're contributing to a mission, we're contributing to something. So here's the thing. You got those two things. You got your map and you got your needs. It's crazy, but people will violate their own values in order to get their needs met. And we have to understand that. So when somebody doesn't do right by me, I have to realize they're simply navigating by their own map and they're trying to get their needs met. Now, how will that change how you show up? Somebody says something to you, nasty, whatever. So they're just revealing that they're in emotional pain. So their words and actions and deeds flow from that pain. See, people have power. You have power. They have their power, but it's outside of you. People can do what they like. People can say what they like. We all have the power to think and believe what is right. But we have to shift from a life of blame to a life of personal responsibility. Here's the thing. You're the creator of your own internal world. Man, if I would have known that in 2018, oh my gosh. I chose to allow my circumstances to cause trauma in my body and in my soul. I chose that. I am the creator of my internal world. I am the one who interpreted what was going on around me, and I'm responsible for that. You're in charge of what's going on inside of you, not your circumstances, not other people. Your thoughts literally create your reality. That's why we have to be totally transformed by the renewing of our mind, because our reality is what we're thinking. This means your internal world, your thoughts, your feelings, your attitude determines how you're going to show up in the world. So think about this for a second. Are your thoughts productive? Or are they stuck in cycles of blame, worry, fear? You know, in the framework, we talk about that cycle of doom. Dun, dun, dun. You know, fear is a big one. So what if instead of saying this stress is because of my job, I have the power to choose how to respond. My peace and clarity come from within, not from the outside. I realize as I really consider this notion of the unshakable life, and this is the theme like this year for me, I'm like, what is this unshakable life and how do we really lay hold of it? Because I've laid hold of a lot of it over the last 5 years or so. But there's so much further to go. And I'm like, this notion of the unshakable life, how do we get there? How do we actually manage that? And I realize, my goodness, how much we show up as victims in the world. Victims. Think about this. When I say because, I'm setting myself up for being dependent. I can't live without my cup of coffee in the morning. This is telling my brain that I am to be dependent on a cup of coffee. It's just small shifts. What if we actually took responsibility and said, I choose to have a cup of coffee every morning? One makes me powerful and a master of my life, and the other makes me dependent. I don't want to be dependent anymore. And as I consider this notion, I'm just like, I must do what? What do I have to, what am I dependent on? I'm dependent on my caffeine. I'm dependent on my supplements. I'm dependent on, how people treat me. I'm dependent on the outside circumstances. I'm so dependent. And we say things like, I'm stressed because I'm upset because I am happy because I am angry because of. Guys, all this because has to fall off. And I'm saying this as someone who's working on this too. Yes, there are things that happen that will stimulate things, but I still have the power to choose the meaning I give that. You see the difference? The more we speak that way, the more we're training our mind and emotions to be dependent. I cannot live without my cup of coffee every day. Now, cup of coffee is my master. You're the architect of your mindset. When you shift your thoughts, your actions will always follow. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And I believe what we're speaking causes our actions. So what if we redefine stress with a new framework? As somebody who's felt a lot of stress recently, I need to think about this, don't I? Stress often feels like it's out of control, but the truth is stress isn't the situation. It's simply how we're processing the situation. Here's a powerful formula. Stress equals pressure divided by resilience. Yes, good morning. It's math. Stress equals pressure divided by resilience. The unshakable life, the key to an unshakable life is resilience, my friends. Because yes, there's always going to be pressure in the world. And heck, most of the time we're putting the pressure on ourselves. What does your resilience look like? Is your master coffee? Is your master because of? Is your master so-and-so said such to me? Or are you the master of what's going on inside of you? Pressure is a constant in life. Deadlines, family responsibilities, challenge. I've been feeling that lately. Like every time I get something done, there's more to do, right? But resilience is what makes a difference. Resilience is your ability to rise above pressure instead of crumbling under it. Example, a tough conversation at work. Resilience is instead of reacting in frustration, I'm pissed because so-and-so isn't doing their part. Do you see the because? I'm upset because of what this person did. But I can actually choose. I'm the master of my own inner life. I can say, instead of reacting in frustration, I can be like, what need are they trying to meet here? What's on their map that they're walking out right now? How is their map maybe different than mine? What's the most constructive thing I can do here? You know, people don't just wake up going, I'm going to tick somebody off today. Most people, the majority, there's some mean people out there that are like, I'm going to be malicious, right? Let's not pretend. But the majority of people are not waking them up in the morning trying to figure out how to be the most rotten version of themselves. So let's talk about something that traps many of us. It's blame. Blame keeps us stuck in the past. We blame our past for our present all the time. It robs us of freedom and energy. Forgiveness is a tool that sets us free. Now, I say this all the time. Forgiveness is a choice. Healing is a process. So I have to sit there and I have to tell my mind, you will forgive. By choice in my will, I choose to forgive that jerk at work that did this to me. And I release them into the freedom of my forgiveness. Now, healing is a process. But here's the thing. Sometimes we hold ourselves to pain for 30, 40, 50 years, depending on your age, because we've forgiven, but we haven't allowed ourselves to heal. And so we even get this like identity around trauma or identity around needing to heal, identity around what happened to us. Healing in your emotions can actually happen far more quickly than the body. Now, you'd be like, what, right? You know? But think about this. You're stuck with a broken leg for at least 6 weeks. That's just the way it goes. But it's when we have one moment. Do you ever recall just one moment in time where you just changed how you thought about something and it caused immediate healing out of it? Here's the thing. When we forgive and then we release, and when we decide to think about it differently, we're releasing ourselves and our bodies and our souls from years of pain. So if we want more certainty in our life, we can walk away from pain towards pleasure just by not holding on to things. Because I stopped a while ago going, well, this person was just trying to hurt me. Because 90% of people are not. They're merely living off their own map. If you can take an objective look and say, they're living off their own map. Their map does not agree with my map, but that doesn't speak of me. That speaks of them. And so I'm going to choose to walk out of forgiveness. So a couple of things you can do is every day, just release. What am I holding on to? Let it go. Even if it's just in your mind, just say, I release this. Sometimes we self-protect by holding on to those things. I had to talk to my body, like, you can let go of these things because you don't have to protect me anymore. Forgiveness isn't about saying what happened is okay. It's just about refusing to let it define you for the next 30 years. Here's a key to an unshakable life. I'm finding it more and more every day, and I'm getting more and more passionate about it every day. Never in my life did I think that I would major on emotions and meaning. But I'm telling you, they're the key to your life. Be totally transformed by the renewing of your mind. Listen, emotional independence equals freedom and happiness. Happiness does not come from what's happening around you. It comes from within. Emotional independence, it's the ability to stay grounded regardless of your circumstance. And it's really, what is the meaning you're giving it? And what are you going to do about your emotional state in the midst of your circumstances? Are you going to stand in your identity, be exactly who you are? Are you going to people please? Are you going to try to live up to others' expectations? Are you going to try to put on a mask to make yourself appeal more to others? Or are you going to find yourself and be totally set free by releasing your expectations on others, releasing the pressure and the pain that you've been putting yourself in, and choosing joy, happiness, freedom, because you're taking personal responsibility for what's happening inside of you. True freedom means not letting other people or situations control our peace. Simple, yes, not so easy a lot, right? That this shift to responsibility and resilience is more than a mindset. It's literally a way of living, guys. It'll make your body healthier, it'll make your soul healthier, it'll make all of you healthier. So to ask yourself, where are you still blaming your circumstances or others for what's happening inside of you? And then 2, take one step towards forgiveness and letting that go. We have to remember you are the architect of your life. You have the power to create joy, peace, and impact. It's time to fully step into that power. In your family, in your workplace, the world is waiting for you to show up as you. This is what I'm seeing in the world today. You might be just one belief away from your breakthrough. And I'll prove it to you. But I'm going to tell you one of my clients. She showed up with a terrible outlook at work. She'd been putting applications out there for months. There's this one application. She's like, I put it out a month ago and I really should have heard back by now. And I don't know what's going on. And conversely, she was talking about, I have got to get out of this toxic work environment. I can't stand it anymore. I've outgrown this place. It's just not good for me. And the list goes on of all the things that she was saying. And so we talked about reframing it. We talked about, well, you're here for now. You haven't gotten a different job. How are you going to make the best out of you being here? How can you show up as yourself in this environment? And she had some ahas of like, I'm not going to care what that they're talking and and just changed her mind. It was so cool because 1 week later, she had a job offer on the table. You might be one belief away from your breakthrough. So I want to go back. We got to let go of the because ofs. For me, I'm committing to getting rid of the because ofs in my life in the next month or so. I'm going to actually put my attention towards that. And that's the way I'm going to meet my need for certainty, to get out of pain towards pleasure. I realize that because I haven't been powerful in my thoughts, in my mind, will, and emotions, in my soul, that I carry pain. You think about, I heard this one testimony. This was a woman, she was 5 years old, and her parents had left for something, and she was left alone with her uncle. And in that time, she was abused. And so what happened with her is for the next 30 years, she's like, I don't trust anybody. I can't trust anybody. I'm not safe. And she was miserable, just miserable. She didn't have relationships. She never got married, all these things, right? She had this aha one day. She had this aha. Yes, what was done to me was terrible. But what I have been doing to myself by holding on to this for the last 30 years has really been detrimental in my life. I have chosen that. And she changed her mind about it. And her life turned around. And she's not victim anymore. There's no because ofs. So guys, what would it look like if we actually release those little nuances out of our language? Because remember, our brain is our best friend. It's a loyal, faithful friend. It will do what you tell it to do. In fact, if you continually tell your brain that it's sick, studies have shown you will become sick. So if I keep saying, I get a cold every winter, by golly, you will have a cold every winter, won't you? The same thing. I can't do this because of, or I can't possibly measure up. I'm unhappy because of. If this one area of my life was fixed, for me, honestly, I am so stinking happy in every area of my life, but my finances, like, come on, God, what's going on? Right? Do you know that there are people that are wealthy upon wealthy and they still commit suicide? Why? So you can have all your circumstances still fixed and you won't be happy until it's solved where it's personal responsibility inside of yourself. I'm happy because I choose to be happy. I forgive because I've chosen to forgive. I'm stepping up, showing up as myself in 2025 because I'm choosing to. I'm playing full out because I'm choosing to. I have my little bit of caffeine in the morning, not because I need it, not because I can't function without it, because I chose to. And you know what? If I'm going to be angry, bitter, upset, complaining, here's a good one for teenagers. I am freaking out because of my hormones. I am upset because of PMS. I'm not being very kind right now because of menopause. If we can get rid of the becauses and we can take personal responsibility of our internal environment, it will change your life. Stress equals pressure divided by resilience. How are you going to put this into action? How are you going to start creating the shift today? How are you going to show up differently starting right now? Because you know, you can gain a new truth. If you don't put it into action in your life, you'll have to gain that truth later. How are you going to start creating the shift today? What were your ahas?